We're super excited to be here with you all this morning. We're Leadership Global members, and if you want to learn more about this amazing, supportive, trusting community of women in leadership all over the world, just reach out. Linda Fisk is on the call, but reach out to us as well. This community has been really amazing in supporting us and other women as we grow and scale businesses and accelerate our personal brands and success. So in the community of Leadership Global, you'll receive support from influential and really highly connected business leaders, and we can vouch for that. We've met just some incredible leaders along the way. So yeah, so that's a little bit about Leadership Global and how it's really given back to us and in community. And then we have this series called Unboxing Growth, this roundtable, and really it's focused on helping you with growing and your personal growth, your personal brand, and maybe selling more of your services, products, and ideas. So we're happy to deliver this and be with you in community every month on the third Friday. So the way that we like to start things off is with the leadership credo, and that is to all come together in community and really live out these values. And really what we're doing is we're cultivating authentic relationships. We're acting with courage, which is the topic of today, being unapologetically visible. We're dedicating ourselves to the path, also very apropos of our topic today, being a lifelong learner and celebrating each other. I think that's really important. So let's all have that as a foundation as we go into this talk today. So our talk is on how to be unapologetically visible. And we're excited to dive into that topic with you today. So just a little bit about Outfront Solutions. Jeanine and I are founders of Outfront Solutions, and we're like outsourced CMOs. We step forward on behalf of companies and people and organizations to support with branding, marketing, and business development. You will notice that in the center of this construct, it's our ikigai, which means reason for being. And in this construct, it shows you all that we do. But I think what's most important is at the center, we're really focused on purpose and results. And that's another reason why we're here today, doing this marketing masterclass and talking about being unapologetically visible. And one other thing, just to kind of lead into the topic of today, is we've been doing personal branding for executives for our entire careers. So that's over 25 years. Jeanine and I have been business partners for 20 years, which is pretty amazing. And we've been representing a lot of incredible people all over the world. And along the way, we realized we're representing maybe it's really off balance. We're representing a lot of men, amazing men, people like Steve Jobs and Eric Schmidt, and some amazing women like Carly Fiorina. But along the way, we really decided that we wanted to dedicate ourselves to helping more female leaders with building their personal brands. And so that's a lot of what we're talking about today. And we also have that practice at Outfront Solutions where we're stepping forward for women's advancement. And we're also stepping forward to help women with building their personal brands. So you can find more information about that on our website. And one other little anecdote and something to celebrate is that one of the women that we worked with on her personal brand just last week exited and sold her company. And when we started to work with her, she wanted to get on a board. She wanted to step into a CEO position. She had only been in, or, she had been in prominent COO, chief operating officer positions, but she hadn't been in the CEO suite. And so we worked with her, and, she went out there, and she had a challenge with being unapologetically visible. It was hard for her to step in to all of her leadership skills and talents and all that she was bringing to the world. So I just want to say that it's all possible. This leader got into a board seat, she got into a CEO position, and it just sold her company and did all of that in about 18 months time. So super, super exciting to stand alongside women and see them flourish this way. And that's something that we're dedicated to at Outfront Solutions. We love to stand by your side, amplify you.
And I just want to add that one of the reasons why we wanted to do this webinar is that so many women that we work with who are like killer accomplished have trouble really, accepting how fabulous they are. So we spend a lot of time doing that. And that's what we want to talk about today is how do you? It's easy to say, hey, be confident, step out, do it. But it's very hard to say, well, how do I do that? So that's a lot of what we want to do today is give you some tools for being able to step out and be visible.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Whoops.
Whoa. I know.
That's the end. That was a great talk. We just
awesome. Yeah, I'm sorry. Apologies. Something hit my key here, and there it went. Now, I also understand that there's a side-by-side view, which I apologize, but I'm looking for it here. I've got it.
Okay.
It's okay. It's fine the way it is. Okay. So
yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. So we love this quote. Setting goals is the first step in turning the invisible into the visible. So really, it's super important that you're setting goals, you're, making a conscious decision as to where you want to go. And we just thought this quote was in particular a really nice one.
Mm-hmm.
So why be unapologetically visible? Well, and if now, then, if not now, then when? When is it a good time to step out? And, we know that a lot of you are looking at doing these things, jumping into the C-suite, like the example I was talking about, or getting a board position, really increasing your influence out there and putting some thought leadership out into the world. And maybe you're focused on raising capital, and your personal brand is inextricably tied to your company brand. Maybe you want to sell more, get a promotion in the company in which that you're working, and just really increase your valuation. So these things, what we're going to talk about today is a really kind of fun process to get you thinking about and establishing your foundation of your personal brand and being unapologetically visible to step out and into these certainly well-deserved new positions. So we'll go through an exercise, a really fun exercise in branding you. And we'll tie that to a fictional character, but you're welcome to follow along and tie it to your own personal brand and yourself. We'll talk about communicating and delivering your messages. And then we definitely want to have discussion. So we'll leave time for that as well.
So we're going to do it a little differently this time in that we just want this to be totally interactive. So if you want to unmute, we're going to just have a conversation about this and kind of workshop it, right? And we thought what would be fun to do to illustrate what we're talking about, because we talk a lot about personal branding, we've taken all of the branding work we've done over the past 20, 30 years and applied it to individuals, right? And to us. And so we want to kind of go through this with you so that you have the experience and you can follow along and you can develop it yourself after the webinar, right? But at least kind of get the flavor for it, ask questions like that. So let's start by saying, like, who is going to be our prototypical woman? You know, who is she? Is she a coach? Is she a consultant? Is she in tech? Who has a thought? And it can be you too, or us.
Maybe she's in venture.
So anybody want to throw out an idea for who our character, who is the character we're going to brand here?
Let's do a woman in venture, a woman looking to raise capital.
Okay. Now you're saying she's raising capital. Is she raising capital for a fund? Is she raising it for an entrepreneurial venture?
Let's do a fund.
Okay, she's in a fund. Okay, so let's talk about her superpowers. Now we all have them, and this is a huge pain because everybody says, oh, you have a superpower, and it's very hard to look at yourself and say, like, what's my superpower, right? So Nicole always says that my superpower is my inquisitiveness, right? That's
another one is your ability to assimilate vast quantities of information. And I think this can be a superpower of this character as well, right? So being able to assimilate vast quantities of information and read and understand markets, maybe that's a good quality of this character as well, right?
Okay.
I would say probably this character also has a very strong ability to network, right?
Probably, right? And she also must have some really great financial capabilities, the ability to analyze financial information, to make projections. Would you say that's right, Stephanie?
Yeah, I think that would be a good assessment for this character.
Is there anything else that you think that she would want to have or should have or needs to have in a superpower department for her?
I think maybe her ability to connect with people, to synergize, to also figure out what they need more than what she can take from them.
Okay, great.
Oh, that's a really good superpower. Okay. And why is she doing this? What is her motivator? What makes her swing her legs over the bed in the morning?
What is her purpose?
Yeah.
So her purpose is she found these other companies that need the capital, that have the idea, that have the clout. They just need that extra push, that extra motivation, that extra connection from this woman. So her purpose would be to give back.
So she wants to give back. So she's obviously successful, right? And she now wants to share that. Denise and Rachel, do you guys have any thoughts about this person that we're talking about, or what her purpose might be? And
I think maybe her purpose also might be to change the world, to create, help think about imbalances, give opportunities to people. So something around, if they're a great networker and the first thing they're thinking about is what other people need, then clearly there's something that's connected to the purpose being of helping others achieve what they want to do. And so changing an imbalance, giving an opportunity to people who maybe don't have an opportunity in the first place.
So that was a really important observation, because what you took was you looked at her superpowers and said, well, what does that probably indicate to me about her purpose?
Yeah.
Which is a really great way to get there, because what you do every day, all the habits you have, all the activities that you tend to undertake are who you are, right? And so that is a wonderful way to focus in on your purpose. So let's think about some things that she's done in the past that make her feel like she can do this.
What are her greatest achievements?
Yeah.
I guess we can go back to the superpower with her ability to connect, to build authentic relationships, and sustain them. Another great superpower would be, I don't know, Denise, what else do you think?
How about, go ahead, Denise.
Oh, I would say that the person probably has experience.
Mhm.
Maybe in a company or in a nonprofit, maybe you're on the board of a nonprofit or involved in a nonprofit. But generally, we take our past successes and push them out greater. So I would say that look at the, in that person's background, they probably created networks, convinced people to spend money on something. They've probably raised money or capital for like the company they work for, or a nonprofit, or maybe their church, or.
Great. Those are all great. Absolutely.
Raised money for something that she really cared about, right? And then she felt like, oh my gosh, I can do this and I can help change the world. This is something that I have the power to do.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
And maybe she's had success as being an operator, right? She's successfully navigated, operated a company, really knows what it is to be an entrepreneur. And so she wants to give back and translate those skills to other people.
Right. So what we have there is that we have, she's got some serious experience, and there's another thing. She's in venture. That's not so easy as a woman. You're like, what, 1 to 10, 1 to 20? Is that what maybe it is? I don't even know what the ratio is, but it's low.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been over the years anywhere between 1 and 10, 1 and 9, 1 and 10.
So
Yeah.
this woman probably has a decent achievement in working with men and with being able to position herself in this world, would you say? She probably did something that gives her some modicum of confidence that she could go out and do this.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she's probably achievement. So what might be a goal that she has? What does she want to do? Nicole did that whole list of things, and those are things that we've drawn from our own practice, that women come to us saying, yeah, I want to get on a board. I want to be in the C-suite. I want to, start my own company, those kinds of things. So in this case, for this woman, what might be her goal?
Part of it may be a raise, right? The particulars of the raise. So what do you think, Stephanie? How much is she raising?
Let's do 10 million for her fund.
I love that.
All right. Excellent.
And she's a woman in venture, and it's in a fund. So does she want to have her own fund? Does she want to have something to do with the fund that would help her?
Yep. It's her own fund.
Right?
Yeah, she would be the fund manager. So she's
GP.
the head honcho. Yeah.
And how about attracting really attracting deal flow and entrepreneurs who are in alignment with her values and her purpose and her investment thesis.
Right.
So that could be a goal.
Okay, so she's got some solid goals there. And what are her challenges in trying to achieve these goals? What does she see as the issues in front of her?
This is the first time, so she's a newbie. No, but she doesn't have that credibility that I've managed my own fund. She's probably managed other people's funds, those kinds of things. So that whole idea of this is a new something for you to do. Why should I trust you around this new something to do?
Yeah, first time fund manager. That's real. That's a challenge. Absolutely.
I also think that she'd have to think about redesigning her brand. So part of how people know her, I'd say reputation, but it's how people know her. They probably know her as an accomplished doer, but now this is you have to be a spokesperson. You've got to do lots of presentations, pitches. You've got to be seen as a person who before people might only know her as someone who invents things for themselves or their company. Now this giver and person who's going to raise it. So the challenge is being branded, for lack of a better way, or changing her reputation or leveraging the reputation she had before so that she could have the opportunity and more doors will open and you lower that trust issue.
Yeah.
That's really interesting. So let's just take that another step further just for fun. She's going to have to rebrand because she's done it for other people. Now she wants to do it for herself. What do you think some of the attributes might be that she would need to have or need to portray? What is she going to have to amplify to support this new effort that she's going to in the rebrand? She wants to let people know that she's trusted, like you can trust her, right? And you mentioned credibility, right? She's going to have to demonstrate her credibility.
Past experience.
A track record, right? She's
Yeah,
going to
track
talk
record.
about that. So
Maybe the amounts she's raised in the past, or the return on investment rate of return. And she has some good numbers there that people can relate
and what
to.
about her personally? What might she need to, from a personal branding, right? So she's got to get trust. She's got to be credible. She's got to demonstrate her track record. What way does she have to be as a person? Right? Are there any other ways besides being trusted or credible? She probably, for example, she probably has to be reliable, right? She has to be always on time. She's got to do everything that she says. These are underpinnings of trust. So things like that. Any other thoughts?
Well, there's always have those people that they've worked with in the past to say, hey, I believe in this person. Or, there's always the, write articles, there's the, so there's content building that shows that you're an expert in this area and that you work with other individuals. Particularly, it might even be interesting if they get the content or get with other inventors, women inventors, having conversations or writing about their struggles or, and what solutions has this person done in the past.
Right. So so expertise, demonstrating her expertise through thought leadership and also like testimonials. So third party endorsements is a lot of what you're kind of mentioning there. Other people saying that you're great, right? That's a very powerful thing. In fact, we do fund work, and entrepreneurs and LPs judge funds on the fund reputation, but also the reputation of the fund managers, by the way. So those are key things. And what they want trust, and they want collaboration, right? And they want track record. These are things that are super important. So you hit on them. I don't know if you're in the fund business, but very good. There they are.
All right.
So we've got a nice list here. Now, this is sort of another form that we use in our practice to look at people and help people, and we'll build out these different hexagons. Yes, they are. We'll build out these hexagons as we go. So we've done a few of them. We've done her goal, right? Now, when we've done her role, because she's a fund manager, we know that she's doing that. We talked a little bit about her capabilities. We talked about her being able to network, shows she's a people person. We might want to look at other capabilities. We said she's probably a good analyst, right?
Yeah. Analyst capabilities, the capability to read and understand markets and trends. So having some good research capabilities.
Any other thoughts on that?
I think we
got them. So,
we blew out quite a few, I think, capabilities and attributes.
Let's talk about experience. Let's talk a little bit about what her experience might be like, because one of the things that we said is like we're going to want to demonstrate a track record, right? So what sort of experience can our branded woman? We should give her a name. What's her name going to be?
Samantha.
Okay, Samantha. What kind of experience has Samantha had? She's about to try to launch her own fund, right? So she's done it before. So she has experience as a fund manager. I think, Denise, you said that.
Yeah, with somebody else's fund, maybe,
Right.
right?
Yeah, someone else. What other kinds of experience might she have? She probably has, for example, educational experience. You know, what school might she have gone to and what might she have studied?
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So maybe she has a business degree, what have you.
Like an MBA. So she probably has an MBA. And it could be from, a top college, or it could be from any other college. MBAs are usually pretty impressive to everybody, they're usually a very good validator. Any other thoughts, Denise? You're in this realm.
From an education point of view, I would also say association. So if the person is given speeches, been involved in associations, that kind of thing might be. And if not, then that would definitely be something they'd need to narrow down and get involved in, so that they see a leader and an association. They may have done community work. Where they've been here we have the what's called Innovate Charlotte, where lots of people who are trying to start their businesses, they've got inventions, etc. So they may wind up getting in that kind of ecosystem. And that could be the kind of experience, if they've been in it a year or two, they can talk about those experiences, the challenges other people have had. We have Fun Day, so, pitch contests and whatnot. So they may, talk about being a judge for a pitch contest.
Yep. Yeah, great. I was just going to mention that maybe they're part of the National Venture Capital Association.
Yep.
Right. That's a nationwide organization to be a part of and learn from and be connected through. Maybe they're a member of Leadership Global. So they're finding other potential investors, LPs, limited partners, as well as potential deal flow companies to invest in. Perhaps they are part of the angel associations. There's Keiretsu. There's How Women Invest, which is an organization that I am a part of and fund. There's VCTV. So that's another one. So anyway, just throw out a few. I also want to make sure we're cognizant of time.
Right. Well, we're going to move really fast here. Okay. But I do want to emphasize something that Denise said, which is you use the word leadership, right? When you're going to be leading a company, when you're going to be managing the fund, you have to demonstrate that you have those capabilities. And that's what a lot of the things that when being part of associations, doing speeches and presentations, and also in this particular field, she's going to we're going to want to have some experience managing P&Ls, managing people, things that demonstrate your leadership, evidence of your leadership. So that's, I think, the most important thing. And I don't think we'll go into attributes, because also in the interest of time, but, and we're not going to fill this out. Well, the one thing I do want to say is we like to have personal mottos. Because I mean, you can think of them as mission statements, and that's what they are in the corporate world. But in the world of personal branding, we like to make them into something personal. And so we at Outfront Solutions, every year we have a new motto for our company that kind of reflects us and our beliefs and how they relate to our clients. And ours this year is ask for everything. Oh, I'm sorry, it's celebrate everything. Last year was ask for everything. Yeah. Because we didn't want to think small, and it was COVID and everybody was thinking small. We were like, no, we're going for it, right? And then this year we said, you know what, we've got it. We did this, but we didn't celebrate it. There were so many wins. Like, look at Linda. Linda had like 1 million wins in the last month or two. You need some serious celebration, Linda.
Yes, we should all be celebrating Linda and all that she's doing out there in the world. Yeah. And it's so important to continue to amplify each other this way. It's really meaningful because when you're doing that, you're also aligning with someone who's having a lot of success. And And by being a part of that and amplifying it, you thereby that is pervasive onto you. And
It helps you
and
step out and say, yeah, darn it, I did do that. I am amazing, right? You got to
yeah.
stop to recognize how amazing you are. And so that's our motto for this year, is celebrate everything. And we constantly look for things to celebrate amongst ourselves and in others.
And impact, I just want to say that, women, it's been so amazing, because being in a venture capital role and looking at all these businesses run by female founders, you never really have to ask women where their impact is on the world. It's always seemingly baked in to what they're doing. And so I think it's just being really clear about what your impact is on the world and what you'd like to see that as being, and just stepping forward with that confidently and sharing it. And I would say that one of ours is what we're doing right now, and that is standing alongside female leaders. It's just really something that gives back a lot to us.
So we just want, and we're going to send out this slide presentation, so you'll get this. But as you're looking at yourself, as you're asking these questions of yourself, it's often really useful to do some of these tests. I'm sure everybody did the Myers-Briggs, probably everybody's done that. But these are other fun ones and interesting ones that give you other insights and help you discover your values. The DeMartini is all about values, or your special capabilities, which then you go, oh, wait, I do that. And you can dig in and identify them. So,
yes, these highlight, sorry, Jeanine, these highlight so many of your leadership traits. And then those can be things that you're communicating about, right, as it relates to your personal brand. So, it may say, that you're really, really adept at connecting with people one-on-one. And so therefore you're leveraging that, in your practice and for your.
Fun fact, Nicole and I have taken this test, like the 4 tendencies, and we're both questioners. Right. and we weren't surprised, because that's what we like to do. So anyway, it's just super fun, and it colors how you think about yourself,
Yeah.
and it validates some of the things, and it turns them into superpowers, things that you just thought were like, everybody's curious about stuff. No, they're not. It's at least not at the level that we're at, which is in the 4 tendencies. So highly recommend you look at those things.
And Leadership Global has a process of, and sorry, we didn't include that here, and we can update that on the slide when we send it out. But if you're a member of Leadership Global, there's a really, really valuable assessment that you get to go through as part of your membership, and it really showed me a lot.
It's actually one of the best ones I've ever taken, and I've taken hundreds of these. And what's so great about it is it takes like 5 minutes. It's got this big list of attributes, and all you do is pick them, and then you do them under 2 different circumstances. And then Linda comes back and tells you all about you that you had no idea was really there. It was super illuminating. So if you're a member, cannot recommend that highly enough.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
just about communicating, it's when you're talking about, when you're being unapologetically visible, you're talking about, putting your personal brand out there. And it's just like communicating about a company. You want to have a position, where do you stand?
Mm-hmm.
And what do people think of when they think of you and hear your name, right? What is it that, it quickly invokes okay, she's well networked. Has this experience. She leads with compassion and confidence and these different places, different things. So,
you know, she's additive. She's always adding value. So think about this for yourself. And what do you want people to think about you? Because that's going to be, you've always heard that saying where act as if, and also setting the goals as we talked about. When you do this, you'll live by it. So
one of the things that sets me apart, if I may say, is that I wear hats. I love them as a fashion accessory, but it's also a nice literal and figurative metaphor for how I approach things in the world and the different things that I end up doing. So that's just an example of a bit of a positioning and something that's a little bit differentiated as well.
And memorable. So once you do know your position, what Nicole's really illustrating is you can have physical manifestations of that. She does a lot of different things, knits together lots of different things. So her hat symbolizes that. And you can think, if you can think of something that does symbolize you and your superpowers, that's a great thing to use on Zoom calls and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, with messaging, you know, it's super important that you're consistent and clear and concise, right? When you're talking about how you're showing up in the world. And messaging not only comes through the words and, you know, the way that you may describe yourself or how you might put your information in the chat when you're in a Zoom call or what have you in a you know, a webinar or something like that, but it's also the visuals and symbols and the different things that you stand for, right? That all comes through as a message in your personal brand. And so, you know, it's worthwhile to, you know, put yourself together in a consistent way and how you show up in calls, on meetings, to invest in photography. We have actually a whole blog about how we invested in photography, and we really purposefully guide all of our clients that we work with on personal branding to do their visuals, do their photography and their visual branding as well. So
quick tip on that is write down your introduction, we're going to talk a little bit more about it. I hope we have time, we'll go quickly, but writing down these things and then honing them and then sharing them is super, super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, so in terms of messaging, you want to have, even for yourself, right? Again, we applied these attributes to companies, but we realize that they're absolutely 100% translatable to personal brands. So you want to have a brief description or intro, right, for yourself that's consistent, right? Because what establishes brand is clarity and consistency and being concise, right? And introducing yourself in these clear descriptions that convey what are the value propositions. We just described a brand of Samantha, and she, you know, what are the value propositions and benefits and capabilities and or features and the relevance that she brings to the world. So those are the key components of messaging. And it's not to, you know, rattle off everything. It's to do so in a really, you know, engaged, slightly differentiated and captivating way.
I just want to point out one thing about features and benefits. A lot of people think of features as a benefit, like I'm smart, right? But the difference is that you can be smart and that could be a capability. I've got, you know, a great intellect, but the benefit, what does that do for your intended audience, right? That means better deals, smarter analysis, more success in your portfolio companies. So that's the difference between features and benefits. And always keep that in mind, because benefits are critical and they're about the other person, which was kind of interesting about Samantha. She's interested in other people, right? So here we go. We'll just do a couple quick do's and don'ts.
Yeah, and I have a little bit of a barky dog situation here, so apologies. So it's super, we've been talking about this the whole time, super, super important to think about how it is you focus on your audience, right? You may speak about different things related to your personal brand, depending on the audience that you're speaking to, right? You may talk to limited partners. In the case of the character that we developed earlier, Samantha's going to speak to her LPs and investors in her fund in a different way that she might speak to the entrepreneurs, because they need to know different things about her, right? To believe in her and support her in reaching her goals. And whatnot. It's just super important that you're, no matter where you are and how you're showing up, you're introducing yourself. Every single call you're on, it is an opportunity to introduce yourself. And when you're, in real life and attending conferences or meetings, really, really important that you're stepping forward and being visible and introducing yourself, bringing through your confidence. And I've been hitting on being clear, concise, and consistent the whole time. A couple of the things that you want to avoid doing is apologizing. So many women apologize. And a little example is, I'm sorry, I'm late. You can turn that into, thank you for your patience, right? So not everything needs to be an apology. And there's a balance there. We're not saying never apologize, because that brings forth your humility and connection, you as a person. But rather, I think it's just really important that maybe you check yourself in over apologizing, because I think a lot of women tend to do that and say sorry for things, whereas maybe you can just turn it into a stronger thank you statement. It's also important. You don't need to be self-deprecating. There's humility and whatnot is good and healthy. Being compassionate and connected, absolutely. But there's really typically no need to be self-deprecating. Sometimes it can just come across as not being very sincere as well. So try to avoid that. And then, I don't always expect to get all the feedback that you'd like. Sometimes you don't necessarily hear it. We like having personal boards, people that we can just turn to and say, you know what, can I run something by you? So that's a place where I would suggest that you run your personal branding past people. When we do personal branding, we do it in a cohort so that people can get feedback from another leadership group. Because that's always really, really helpful. And we're always here to provide that feedback, no matter if you're working with us or not. Always feel free to run things past us, okay? Because we're here in community for a reason.
I just want to add something about the self-deprecating and give you an example. It's pretty insidious sometimes. Like, well, I'm not an expert on this, but, right? So you've immediately kind of undercut whatever it is that you're about to say. So be careful, just watch for it and make sure you're not doing it too much. And in regard to the audience, we have this kind of thing that we say, who are we talking to? What do we want them to know? And why should they care? And that it's critical to marry those three things up. As Nicole was saying, different audiences need different things. You know that you need to tell them something, but you have to absolutely make sure that it's something that they're going to care about, or it's just going to go right through. They're never going to hear you. So I just wanted to add a couple of things here. So I think we want to go fairly quickly here, but we create toolkits, right, for ourselves and others that help present our personal brands. So there's the personal introduction, which we highly recommend you write down, you practice it, you tell it like a story, and you make it short so that it works. There's a narrative bio, and the narrative bio is really something that like what you would use on a book jacket, right? Or it tells a little bit about your history. It kind of gives a little story about you and how you got here and the superpowers you're bringing. And then there's a board bio, which is different from other kinds of bios because it's really bringing out the things that companies look for in a director, right? And a trustee. You know, they want to know that you have a subject matter expertise, which is what you're going to promote about yourself, right? But also that you're fiscally savvy, that you know about management, that you understand how to work with the staff. You're not going to come in and say, I have 150 great ideas I want you to implement tomorrow. You know, things like that. So you pull out the elements that are going to be the deciding elements for a board seat, right? And then we also create something called a speaker sheet. And this is something that when you're going to do a presentation, when you go to Linda and you say, Linda, I want to do this webinar. A speaker sheet says, here's who I am, here's what my expertise is, here's my topic areas, here's my speaking expertise from before, and here's some links to some stuff that I've done in my thought leadership. And all the organizer has to do is go, okay, great, she's done it before, you know, I know, understand, and then that person can pursue it with you really easily. Very powerful tool. And then a social media strategy. Nicole and I, as marketers, we don't like doing anything that doesn't have a result attached. You know, whether it's a purpose result or a business result, it's got to have a result. And that's true for our social media. We don't do it for fun. We do it mostly, except for in our personal accounts. But you want to have a strategy that's going to support your personal brand, that's going to create the positive associations with the things you want to associate with. Like Samantha, she wants to be a fund manager. She should share her trend perspectives, her analysis, little bits of analysis, you know, her perspectives on the thesis, her investment thesis will provide lots of thought leadership opportunities. So that's what you want to do with your social media strategy, is plot it out over time so that you're varying your content, but it's always accruing back to the benefit of your personal brand. And thought leadership content, I know you all know what that is, and I don't think we're going to have time to go into it too much. Nicole, you look like you want to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that social media and thought leadership content, those are two places where people can really get to know you as well. So your values and how you approach the world, it can be really nicely conveyed through social media and the articles that you write. And I think, you know, that's a really important thing, because people make very conscious decisions to do business with you based on your value systems, right? And not only your expertise, but also your values. It's like, are we values aligned? Yeah, I would like to work with that fund manager, or I would have the confidence to invest in this fund manager because she portrays, you know, she has the same value system that I have. And that can really, really strongly come through in articles. We did an article that ran in Crunchbase about women, the importance of women being female fund managers and investing in female founders. And that was really, really full of a lot of values and opinions. And so it demonstrates exactly where we stand on the matter.
And the only thing I want to add to that is everything that you do, think about what your call to action to your audience is. Do you want them to book a meeting with you? Do you want them to visit your website? Do you want them to download something? And so that's how, so Nicole's talking about thought leadership. You publish a thought leadership article, you support it in social media. What do you want the social media to do? Oh, probably go back to your website or to a landing page where you'll explain more about it. Why? So that you deepen people's understanding and sense of trust. And then there's a button for them to click to create a meeting. So think about the calls to actions and the what you're driving to in everything you do, because time is short. We don't have time to do everything. So we're not going to go into this too much because we don't have really enough time, but we do personal introductions, short ones and longer ones. You know, sometimes you have a bigger opportunity to talk more. So we will write them out. And they would be based, by the way, on all the stuff that we just collected about Samantha, right? There's a ton of content there that you could write your description right now about Samantha. The narrative bio, we talked about that a little bit, about its uses, right? And this is where you use a little bit different language about about yourself, or if someone else is going to read it, right? And that's a difference, whether someone's going to read it or you're going to read it, because you can't say the same things in the same way. Board bio, we talked about it. This is, you'll see they see achieving excellence through truth, innovation, integrity, and inclusion. That's her motto. That was really what she believes in. So you're going to use that motto a lot, and it really gives people an opportunity to think about you and how they want to relate to you.
And also, by the way, these aren't showing them, but you always include a picture of yourself on every single one of these. And really, really kick butt photography is important, right? It shows you standing forward, and it is expected on these materials.
Yes, everywhere they are. We took them off because they're anonymized here. But anyway, this is a speaker sheet, right? A good example. There's her topics and expertise, keynotes and panels, media coverage, where she's been a featured speaker. There's her bio or description over there on the left, right? There's her motto up there at the top. So you get a lot of information on that. So there is a difference between a resume and a CV, right? CVs are longer. You can have a lot more kind of details about your past and your accomplishments, whereas the resume has to hit it really fast, right? There is overlap with them, but both of these went on for quite a long. This person is super accomplished. So she has several pages here on her resume, and that's okay sometimes. So she'll have a short version, and then she has 2 longer versions to use depending on the occasion, right? Which is very nice for her.
Yeah.
And these are just things to think about when you're looking at your thought leadership, right? Think about your purpose and how you can write about that. Think about your motto and how important that is. That came off. Okay. Think about the wisdom, things that you know, things that you've learned, things, how you've failed, how you've succeeded, you know, sharing that kind of stuff. Very important and really cool, fun stuff to read about. And the wallet, love, and health are the 3 things. When you go to journalism school, they say everything that you write about has to be focused on these key things in people's lives, right? Their money, their love, and their health. Has to relate in some way to those things. And you'll find that it's kind of a good guide to remember when you're doing your thought leadership. And then there's changing the world, which is almost always something that we want to do in our own way. And so it's a good thing to write about it. And as Nicole said, it tells people a lot about your values and whether they want to do business with you, because as we know, people want to do business with people they know and like. And thought leadership really gives you an opportunity to create that connection when you're not in the room, right? So, and what this is simply a calendar. We create calendars for ourselves and for our clients. And see over on the right, there's a key. So in this particular case, we're going to talk about culture, capabilities, vision, values, events, speaking events, media coverage, and miscellaneous, right? And so then what we'll do is we'll plot those. So on Monday, we're going to talk about our next speaking gig. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about our vision for the world. On Wednesday, we're going to talk about things that we're able to do really well. On Thursday, we're going to talk about what we believe in. Friday, we're going to share some media coverage about ourselves. And on Saturday, that's our fun cultural. Saturdays and Sundays are less good for social. So, but you want to be there often because of algorithms, which will raise you higher up in the social display. So, you know, on Saturdays, we'll post pictures of us with our puppies, or, you know, recipes or places we've been or things like that. So again, they deepens people's knowledge of who we are. And here we are, Nicole. So this is something that we believe in, right? And it
Yeah.
a foundation for you that makes you fine wherever you go.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. And that's the unapologetically visible part of what we're talking about today. And confidence is not all about, will they like me? It's more about I'll be fine if they don't,
Mhm,
and step forward as I am.
mhm.
So great. Well, thank you so much for your time and attention today, and to Linda and Leadership Global and the C-Suite Network for having us. Does anybody have